Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The first casualty of the Trump administration, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. National Security Chief Micheal Flynn has resigned. General got into trouble over a phone call he had with the Russian ambassador before Donald Trump took office. The issue centered on sanctions President Obama slapped on Russia. Apparently, General Flynn discussed that with the Russian. Micheal Flynn should have known that his call was being taped, both by American and Russian intelligence agencies. That's standard. But then things get foggy. I don't know what General Flynn said. Nobody knows at this point, except government officials, because there is a transcript of the conversation as yet unreleased. But according to Fox News correspondent John Roberts, General Flynn misled Vice President Pence about the content of the call. And that is the big reason he was fired. Vice President Pence wields a lot of power in the White House right now, and subordinates simply cannot mislead him. So the Trump administration is now searching for a new national security advisor. The story really ends here, unless General Flynn was ordered to say something to the Russians that was inappropriate. Again, speculating on that, foolish. If evidence surfaces, we'll certainly report it. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect on the Flynn saga is the PR component. Yesterday, Kellyanne Conway said the general was safe.
General Flynn does enjoy the full confidence of the president, and this is a big week for General Flynn. He's the point of contact for many of these foreign visits.
Now, did Ms. Conway mislead, or did she not know the general was in trouble? Either way, not a good situation. Talking Points well understands the complexities of running this country, but it's becoming clear that President Trump needs better coordination among his staff. Should be somebody in charge of quality control and accurate messaging. That someone should be Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, who is experienced and skilled. No way Kellyanne Conway should be out saying all's fine with General Flynn when all was not fine. A kind of confusion doesn't do anyone in this country any good, especially because President Trump has legions of people trying to hurt him. Summing up, Flynn is out, new security person will be appointed, and the Trump White House needs to become better organized. And that's the memo. Now for the top story, how is President Trump doing according to the folks? New Fox News poll just out spotlights that. Do you approve of Trump's executive order on immigration? 46% say yes, 52% no. Should the order, the immigration order, be described as a terrorist hotspot restriction or a Muslim ban? 56% restriction, 37% ban. Does the order make the USA safer, less safe? No difference. Safer, 42%, less safe, 33%, no difference, 24%. Next, President Trump's job approval rating. Approve, 48%, disapprove, 47%. Finally, are you confident in Donald Trump's judgment in a crisis? 50% are confident, 49% are not. In October, that number was 43% confident, 56% no. So there's been a gain for the president there. But it's clear the country remains divided on President Trump. Joining us from Dallas, one of his critics, Mark Cuban, billionaire and TV star. Let's talk some policy, Mr. Cuban. What is your biggest concern about President Trump in that area?
Well, I think his management style. I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't think he's been able to show any leadership. I don't think he's taken responsibility for the White House, and I don't think he's shown them any direction. And I think the result of that are the issues that you've mentioned. There's the divergence in communications. The people that work for him seem to be fearful of having the mistakes pinned on them, and that's led to leaks and just the inconsistency coming out of the White House.
But that's not really policy, and I have to say that I have never seen in my lifetime a new president do as many things as Donald Trump has done in 26 days. Now, you may not like those things, and that's why we invited you on. What's the policy beef?
Okay, well, we can start with policy then. Let's talk with jobs, all right? He's meeting with all these companies, but he hasn't gotten to the point where he understands that the nature of work is changing. Technology is changing how people are hired, the jobs they're going to do. He's shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic, by going and talking to these companies and dealing with 5 and 10 and even 25,000 jobs at a time. Now, look, there's nothing wrong with trying to get more jobs. That's a good thing. But in any given month, our economy gains and loses 5 million plus jobs.
But
He's got to start dealing with the macro issues.
Would you see that his goal of keeping manufacturing and plants here in the United States is a good one? Would you cede that?
Not really.
No, you think it's good for the country to have plants built overseas? Do you think that's
no? That's
good
not
for
what
America?
I'm saying at all.
Well, that's what that's what his goal is. Have them built here.
I get that he wants plants built here, but you're not going to see new buildings. You're not going to see new facilities. What you're going to see are changes to existing facilities.
Well, already some companies say they're going to build new factories here because they don't want to pay a tariff of bringing their goods back into the USA. All right.
So now we're into semantics, Bill, because now we're saying a new factory. Does that mean modifying an existing facility? That I don't know.
I don't know either. Would it be fair then to give the president a year to see if the job, and we're talking good jobs, we're not talking service marginal jobs, we're talking, so the median income goes up. That was the beef on President Obama. Right. He couldn't raise the median. Would it be fair to give President Trump a year to see if his aggressive approach results in good jobs appearing in America? Would that be fair?
Sure. I have no problem with giving him time. But you have to look at the bigger picture. He hasn't demonstrated that he understands the bigger picture. What I will tell you with 100% certainty, every single one of those companies that he's talking to, whether it's Ford, whether it's United Technologies, whoever it may be, their total number of employees will be fewer in 3 years than it is today, no matter what he does in terms of
We all understand the changing technology and that people have to become educated in it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, in order to do the new jobs, you're going to have a new set of skills required.
No.
Yes, you will.
That is not correct at all. What I'm saying is with artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks, we're going to see more technological change over the next 3 years than we've seen over the last 30.
But in order for people to harness that change, they're going to have to know the new technology inside and out.
No.
All right.
Bill, that's not the way. I'm just telling you, that's not the way it works. People are going to be replaced by these technologies. What we have to do during that disruptive period, we have to find places for them to go. We have to find new places to put them to work.
There's always going to be marketing. There's always going to be things like that they have to do, unless you want to set up a socialistic thing where everybody's guaranteed a job, which is never going to happen here. Let's get to health care for a minute, because I know that's a big issue for you. Is it fair to give the Trump administration and the Republican Party 6 or 7 months to come up with a plan? Is that fair?
Yeah, of course. But here's the real question, Bill. If you're going to replace whatever you want with Obamacare, you've got to answer a simple question. Out of healthcare providers, insurers, and consumers, who's going to take less? That's what we don't know.
Well, he's trying to drive down the costs by having more competition among the insurance companies and then browbeating the farm companies, the drug companies, to lower their prices. He's trying to do that. But it's a complicated issue.
Only a small portion. So what you're saying is all these insurance companies are now willing to have lower profits because
because their profits will be going on a wider canvas in which to sell. So the volume goes up while the price goes down.
Now, where are they going to be selling that they didn't sell before?
Because they can't sell now, and they're ordered to sell in certain states. He wants to open it up for the whole country.
No, but it's not like those companies couldn't initiate
they
businesses
can in certain
those states,
and you know that. It's a very regimented health care system that we have. Ms. Cuban, I'd love to have you back because you're a smart guy, and we want to hear from you from time to time. Thanks for coming on.
It's always fun, Bill. Thank you.
Next on the Rundown, Yale University may honor the Black Panther Party. Can you believe it? We'll tell you what's going on in New Haven. Then later, will accused deserter Bo Bergdahl get off because of comments made by Donald Trump? We'll have the latest on that as the factor continues all across the USA and all around the world. Impact segment tonight, as you may know, Yale University is an Ivy League stalwart, very prestigious institution. But now there are two controversies that may harm Yale. First, the university is taking John Calhoun's name off one of its residential colleges. Calhoun was vice president under John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson and served in the Senate for many years before the Civil War. He was an ardent proponent of slavery. However, John F. Kennedy named Calhoun one of the greatest senators in history. I disagree with that assessment. Also, the Yale Daily News, a student paper, is backing away from a story it printed that says the African American Cultural Center at Yale will honor the Black Panther Party as part of Black History Month. Joining us now from New Haven, Connecticut, Gabby Cugio-Wilkes, a Yale graduate student, and here in the studio, Kyle Tierney, a senior at Yale. So John Calhoun, he was associated with Yale way back, gave him a lot of money, had a college named after him, right?
Yes, sir.
But no more.
No, sir.
What happened?
It started about 2 years ago. The Calhoun renaming process really picked up steam. Then they decided last April to not rename Calhoun. They had a whole committee established. Over the summer, they established...
Who's they?
The administration, the Yale Corporation, and President Salovey.
All right. So this was basically faculty members that did this?
Not so much faculty members. Faculty and students wanted the name changed.
Because of the slavery issue, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that's gone. Now, Gabby, I assume you support the banishment of John C. Calhoun, correct?
I support the renaming of the college.
Okay.
We're still going to be remembering his legacy. We're not erasing him, but I do support the renaming of the college.
Now, you know there's a lot of Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, they were slaveholders, and a lot of things named after them.
Yeah, well,
what's the difference?
He's not just a slaveholder. He's not just someone who was racist. He really built his legacy around inequality. He's really an individual whose lifelong work was around inequality. He wasn't even really for the parts that say that all men are created equal. And so when you think about residential colleges, this is where the students are formed. This is a place of community. And so when you think about those names that we want on those institutions, with those residential colleges within our institution, it's important to think about that history.
So you're distinguishing between the legacy of Calhoun and Jefferson and Washington. Why do you think Yale even named a college after Calhoun? Surely they knew, because he was not a quiet guy. It was all pretty much up front with him. Surely they knew who he was. Why did they name it?
I'm sure they did know. And, you know, it's 2017. I know the conversation that we're in now, which is we can look at our legacy, we can look at our history, we can make decisions based on who we are now as Yale University. And that's what the administration has done.
So you don't have any thought about why they would put up Calhoun as a guy worthy of having a college named after him? You don't know?
I have a lot of questions about decisions that have been made before 2017.
So let's turn to the Black Panthers. The Yale paper booted it, right? There's no honoring going on in New Haven about the Black Panthers. What is there?
I think it's students who want to be a part of a movement, and they want to compare them, you know, overthrowing or getting Calhoun renamed, being part of these random protests against things that they think that they represent civil rights.
All right, but where did the Black Panthers come in? It's Black History Month. Why are the Panthers even being mentioned?
It looked like a few students went in the fall to go visit a thing at Cal Berkeley that was presenting a story about the Black Panthers.
And they're going to report back to Yale about what their experiences are?
That seemed to be what the...
That's not a problem.
And I actually was a part of that cohort.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
you
went out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I went out there. It was great. We were in Oakland. It actually wasn't affiliated with Berkeley. It was with the Oakland Museum, and it was a conference celebrating 50 years of the Black Panthers forming. And we went out there as students to really learn the history, to chronicle it, to understand what's going on. You're probably familiar with the May Day event that took place back in the 70s at Yale, and Yale has a long history of activism. So we went as student archivists really to go out and learn the information about the school.
Did you come away with a favorable impression of the Black Panther movement?
Oh, absolutely. They were so resilient.
Let me have you react to a soundbite that we have from Stokely Carmichael, who is associated with the Panthers. Roll it.
Okay.
We have to recognize who our major enemy is. The major enemy is not your brother, flesh of your flesh and blood of your blood. The major enemy is the hunky and his institutions of racism. That's the major enemy.
The hunky is the white man, based on a pig reference. And you must know that Alex Rackley, who was a Black Panther in New Haven, was murdered there. allegedly by other Black Panthers, and that was back in
Allegedly.
1969. And there's a long legacy of violence associated with even the new Black Panthers today. So how can you look favorably upon that group?
Well, there's a long history of racism in this country, and so I think we can all agree that racism exists in this country.
But I think maybe the Black Panthers are part of that racism with their anti-white bent.
Well, the Black Panthers, actually, it wasn't about anti-white. It was pro-black. It was about them making sure that they provided for their community. There were food programs. There were health care programs. The language and the rhetoric is, you know, your choice. We're not using that language and rhetoric now. They certainly were not using that rhetoric at the conference.
It makes me there's
racism.
It makes me a little uneasy that a very intelligent woman like yourself could even think that these people were worthy of being considered in Black History Month. Because they're not that much different than the Ku Klux Klan. They're not.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, they're not. If you look at the history.
That's interesting.
It is. If you look at the history and all the shootings. Share the history with me that you're referring to and
how you pair the two.
Well, if you look at the history of the Black Panthers and all the shootings, all the violence, police officers killed, all the rhetoric, which is just over-the-top anti-white, and you compare it to the violence and anti-black rhetoric of the KKK, there's not a lot of difference. And the KKK did community programs as well. I'll give you the last word because I really appreciate you coming on. But I would ask you a personal favor to me. Reassess the Black Panther situation because there are groups that are far, far better for you to tout as helping African Americans. But go ahead, last word.
Well, yeah, last word. What I will say is that the Black Panthers were pro-black. They made sure that their community was provided for. Every organization makes decisions in the time that they are in. However, at Yale, we are studying and archiving and making decisions for ourselves about what our future looks like. And I'm privileged to have been able to be a part of that cohort that went to Oakland to study that living history.
Kyle, Gabby, thank you very much. Directly ahead, powerful Democratic senator says his party has lost its way. Very interesting soundbite we'll play for you. Then later, Gutfeld and McGurk will analyze whether the Trump administration is on TV too much. Fact is coming right back. Back to follow-up segment tonight. Trouble within the Democratic Party. On Sunday, former Senator Jim Webb from Virginia, a well-regarded Democrat, said this.
The Democratic Party over the past 5 or 6 years has moved very far to the left. When you can't have a Jefferson-Jackson dinner, which was the primary, celebratory event of the Democratic Party for years, because Jefferson and Jackson were slaveholders, they were also great Americans in their day. Something just different has happened to the Democratic Party.
You think they're too focused on identity politics?
I think that the message that has been shaped by the Democratic Party has been shaped toward identity politics, and they've lost a key part of their base, the people.
All right, joining us now from Washington, Lisa Booth and Juan Williams. So Juan, used to be that Democrats held fundraisers under the banner of Jefferson-Jackson dinners.
Right.
But you can't do that anymore. It's like John Calhoun's out the window. Jefferson and Jackson are out the Democratic Party window. So what's going on?
Well, I think obviously you have the base of the Democratic Party now as black, Latino, educated young people. And I think their attitude towards Jefferson Jackson and the old part of the Democratic Party is that they're not comfortable with it. They don't like it, especially as you were discussing in the previous segment. You have the reaction to the fact that many people were involved with slavery or slaveholders. Remember, the older Democratic Party was the party of the segregationist South, especially after the Civil War. So to celebrate that for this newer 21st century constituency of the Democratic Party, it doesn't fit, Bill.
Okay, but I think that's going to shrink the party even, Lisa, by turning their backs on Thomas Jefferson and people like that. It just becomes more radicalized. Am I wrong?
No, I absolutely agree with you, Bill. And I think it's not only just the racial identity politics. It's also, focusing on sex. It's also focusing on issues like transgender bathrooms or issues like climate change that the majority of Americans don't list as their top issues. And, Bill, I think you can see the way that it's impacted the Democratic Party by looking at the current House makeup. You've got 1/3 or more than 1/3 of Democrats coming from California, Massachusetts, and New York. 2/3 of Democrats are either from the East Coast or the West Coast. And the problem for the Democratic Party is you've got to be able to win, these blue-collar states. You've got to be able to win other parts of the country outside of the East and West Coast.
Now, Juan, do you think political correctness is strangling the Democrats now? I mean, it really is out of control to some extent.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, clearly what you have is, a Democratic Party that I think is more in touch with the changing face of the country. Right now, a third of the country.
Why is Donald Trump president then?
Oh, I think that Donald Trump was successful in winning the Electoral College. He didn't win the popular vote, but he won the Electoral College
he won
by
the election,
breaking through.
And if you think that the Democratic Party is more in touch with the folks, that never would have happened, Juan. Never
of course,
in a million years.
No. It has. I mean, I think Donald Trump stirred a lot of racial division in the country, but I think he also appealed, and that's how he broke through in states like Michigan, Wisconsin, where Obama had won previously. Suddenly, hey, they went the other way. So these people aren't racist. They just saw something different. And what Donald Trump was offering, I think, was a strong appeal to blue-collar whites about their economic future.
Clinton Democrat vote as well. We'll give you the last word, Lisa. I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you think political correctness is strangling the Democratic Party?
I do think it's strangling the Democratic Party. And what have we seen from them? We've only seen this continued shift to the left. Right now, they're in the wilderness, and they're trying to figure out how to get out, Bill. And if you look ahead to 2018, there are 10 Senate seats that you know of where Democrats are running in states where President Trump won. There's 5 of those states that he won by double digits. So they're looking at a very red map.
And for the problem, but it all depends on how the president does.
Yes.
Thank you very much, guys. We appreciate it.
What they do.
Plenty more Heads of Factor moves along this evening. Military judge in the Bo Bergdahl desertion case says he's disturbed by comments made by Donald Trump. We'll have the story. Then should the Trump White House stop being on TV so much? Gutfeld McGurk have some thoughts, and we hope you stay tuned for those reports. Unresolved problem segment tonight. Earlier this week, North Korea launched a ballistic missile in violation of a UN mandate. The outlaw country did that to provoke a response from President Trump. This now, Dana Perino had to deal with North Korea as a spokesperson for Bush the Younger. So I assume that you were involved with a lot of conversations about these nuts, right?
Well, North Korea was certainly top of mind, as well. It's probably in the top 3 issues.
Yeah, okay, because President Bush labeled one of the evil, along with Iran and who else?
Iraq.
In Iraq.
And that was early on in 2002, in which he said that these are countries that are pursuing weapons of mass destruction, and they are regimes that could have terrorists pick up those weapons of mass destruction that could hurt other people.
All right, now there's the current leader, Kim Jong-un. You didn't deal with him. You dealt with his father, who is, as crazy as he is.
Well, I don't know. This one.
You think he's crazy?
This one might take the cake.
Yeah, there's Jong. Okay, but when you're dealing with a rogue outfit like this, I mean, President Trump said we're going to deal with them harshly, and the only way to deal with them harshly is to blow them up, is it not? Because they're not going to listen to reason.
I think that North Korea is a special case, given that it is such a closed society. There's very little information in there. Have you ever seen one of those maps that shows electricity all throughout the world, and that's pretty much all dark? This leader starves his own people. They are in concentration camps, and they are so brainwashed that it's very hard to get information in or out. One of the things that President Bush decided to do was say that the Clinton administration approach of offering concessions before they change their behavior in pursuit of a nuclear weapon,
try to bribe
that around and say you're only going to get concessions if you change your behavior. No, and then I remember specifically Tony Snow as press secretary in July of 2006. We're at the 4th of July. Great time, and the North Koreans always want attention. They're like a child.
Yep.
They throw a tantrum on the time when you don't want it, and we spend the rest of the time that evening trying to deal with the fact that they'd sent off these missiles, and now they're doing it again. And I'm not surprised they're doing it now to President Trump.
Okay, but the problem, I don't know if it's a problem. You have a different kind of president now. I mean, I would say that President Bush and Barack Obama were much more restrained, at least in their rhetoric. You don't know in their actions.
True.
All right? So Trump is coming across as a guy that says, if you cross us, you're going to pay a heavy price.
And President Trump also campaigned as saying that I'll be unpredictable. Okay, so and that he thinks that is an
that's worrying a lot of people.
And I actually think that because President Trump had such a good meeting with the Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, this definitely was.
But they're not going to help us. Japan can't.
Sure, they will.
No.
They
don't have any sway over North Korea. The only ones with sway are the Chinese.
But that is why President Bush put together the 6-party talks to make sure that China, Russia, Japan, South Korea, that everybody was pushing in the same direction.
So you feel that President Trump will try the diplomacy route, right?
I don't see any reason for him not to. I mean, what's the alternative?
He can blockade him.
Well, the sanctions are one thing that they're already.
I mean,
in place.
he can put a pretty big hurt on him.
But
if
you're
he wants
dealing
to.
with a leader who starves his own people, so the sanctions.
Yeah, but then he would be starving. There are things you can do to North Korea that would provoke the situation upward. And I don't think that's to anybody's benefit, but they can't be shooting missiles off every 3 days. I mean,
no, and also we need to understand better what their capabilities are. So they can shoot missiles off, but are they aggressively advancing?
Well, they have an atomic weapon. I mean, they have one. So that has to be
and he seems willing to use it.
I'm going to send. I think we should send Dana over there to talk to the guy.
No,
right?
Did you see he killed?
No?
Did you see that his brother mysteriously turned up? He was murdered earlier today.
Who, Kim Jong-un's brother?
Yes.
Yeah, he's dead?
Yeah, so you're going to send me over there?
Well, no, we'll have your bodyguards. We'll send bodyguards with you.
Okay.
We'll send Hammer with you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a Gutfeld too, please.
No, you don't want to travel with him. When we come right back, will Sergeant Bo Bergdahl, charged with desertion, get his case thrown out because of comments made by President Trump? We're investigating. The story is next. And analyze Ebony Williams and Kimberly Guilfoyle. So this trial, Guilfoyle, is supposed to get underway in April. It won't. It's been going on forever, far too long.
Delayed all the time.
But the judge apparently said that he was disturbed by Donald Trump's statements, correct?
Okay, but these were statements made by candidate Trump, and there haven't been any statements subsequent to now him being sworn in and becoming the 45th president of the United States.
But surely the judge knows that.
Well, the judge knows that, but nevertheless, maybe he just wants to make sure that there aren't any issues on appeal, that specifically they're going to have a litigation on a motion like this. It should not be granted. You cannot say that there's been... No, right. It should not be thrown out. Look, they already tried to get a pardon for President Obama. That didn't work. Now they're trying to do it because it's the popular thing to do to grandstand.
Well, I would too. If I were his lawyer, I'd try to get it thrown out.
To
sure.
say that this is what he said.
But it's a military court, Ebony,
right.
and so we're not going to be subjected to politics here as we would in a civilian court.
Ideally.
Ideally. I mean, you never know what's in a judge's mind, but he's a military judge.
5 members.
He understands the seriousness of desertion, particularly because the charges are coupled with some soldiers getting hurt hunting for the man. I mean, that's
hurt, absolutely. But, you know, we've got then candidate Trump saying that people were killed, and we know that was debunked. Look, I agree with KG. Ultimately,
what do you mean people were killed?
That's what candidate Trump said, that several people were killed.
You said it's been debunked. It has not. That evidence has not been
presented.
Well,
we don't know that it's true. At least that much is true.
But it hasn't been debunked, so be careful.
Fair enough.
That's going to be presented in the trial.
But we don't have any evidence that it's factually correct, right?
Because we haven't seen the trial.
But when candidate Trump says this as a private citizen, KG is right. He's allowed to say it. But now he's the commander-in-chief. Now he's the sitting United States president. And I think for a lot of people, even in this military capacity, this 5-person panel, I don't know that they're going to be able to make that distinction. And you can't unring the bell. Well, so although he's not said anything, I wouldn't throw it out either.
I wouldn't throw it out.
If I'm his lawyers, I'm going to argue this is a problem.
Is it just the judge making the decision, or is it going to be a military
The judge is going to make the decision. And when you think about...
No, I mean for the ultimate trial.
Oh, the ultimate trial? No, it's a 5-panel member.
5 panels.
Correct.
Let them
active military.
You understand there's a safeguard there. They can decide and have other people, if they can't be fair because they're prejudiced by those statements, then they can remove and put a different panel.
They can be replaced. But you can't unring the bell, so that's out there.
Let's get to an immigration situation. There's a woman who was deported because she had an identity theft, which is a felony, on her sheet, and that was brought up last night. Roll the tape.
Guadalupe Garcia. She's been in this country for 22 years. Look what Donald Trump did. This is what Donald Trump did.
Okay. These kids, she here
Jacqueline,
illegally?
14, legally. Born in the United States. Angel,
here's my question back to you.
A U.S. citizen. So this is exactly what Donald Trump, the deportation czar, has been doing, dividing, destroying American families.
All right, let's clear that up. The woman is not legal in this country, correct, Ebony?
That's correct.
All right,
factually correct.
Jorge kind of misled us there. The children are. How old are the children?
14 and 16.
14 and 16. They're American citizens.
U.S. citizens.
Guadalupe has been deported, right?
Yes.
Because she had, was it a felony conviction?
Felony charge.
Felony conviction on her sheet.
Yes.
Now, what are you okay with that, Guilfoyle, the deportation?
I am okay with it.
Are you
I have
okay
a
with
serious problem with identity theft in this country, and she committed a felony crime, not violence.
She's got 2 kids here.
I understand that, and she was given some leniency under the Obama administration, but under the current orders, this is a deportable crime.
So you're okay with it?
I'm not saying I'm happy for her and her family. I think it's disturbing, but you have to play within the rules.
Keeping in mind the law is stated. Go ahead.
The law is clear, and she's here illegally according to the law. My issue is this. It's inconsistent with what we heard candidate Trump saying on the campaign trail. We're supposed to be rid of rapists, murderers, and the unsightly part of society. She is not a dangerous person. What are we being protected from, Bill?
Time crunch as always. Here's what I would do if I were the president. I would give her clemency and let her come back.
Because you're a gracious man.
No. That's true, of course. But that would make his case for the violent, terrible.
It's better.
Right.
Yes.
And say, look, I'm going to sign clemency for this woman. She can come back and rejoin her teenagers here. But we don't want any more of this.
For the rapists,
but we're going to concentrate on the really bad.
And the children are U.S. citizens, and they have subsequently visited
That would be an amazing PR move on a part of
it would,
President
but
Trump.
then what? You're establishing a precedent. So you have to be prepared to do a
No,
case
you're not
by case
establishing a
basis.
precedent because he has the right to give clemency as Barack Obama.
And maybe
did.
save that political currency for the real danger.
Gotta go.
All right.
Gutfeld McGurk on deck. Could it be? Is it possible that the Trump administration is on TV too much? Then a tip of the day, zombies influencing the factor. Moments away. Back in the book segment tonight, what the heck just happened? Seems every time someone from the Trump administration goes on television, there's controversy.
In the end, it was misleading the vice president that made the situation unsustainable.
Which the White House knew about last month. And yet yesterday you went on the air and said that General Flynn had the complete and full confidence of the president.
Here now to analyze Bernard McGurk and Greg Gutfeld. So I'm not sure all these TV appearances are helping the Trump administration, Gutfeld.
I don't think they care. When I look at her appearance, she seems absolutely unimpressed with doing television. She treats TV the way I treat waxing. You know, it's not a priority in my life, maybe once or twice a month.
Talking about waxing your car?
Let's hope some people call it a car. But anyway, you know, she's not worse than Podesta, her predecessor, who had the charm of a wedgie.
Yeah, but he wasn't on nearly as much. And you get up at 5 in the morning to do these morning shows, put yourself at risk because you know you're going to be attacked on every show except Fox and Friends. They'll like you a little bit. So I don't understand why.
In her case, look, let's face, she's very impressive. She broke the big glass ceiling. You know, she's a mother.
She's on every day.
She turned out to be a killer on the cable news talk shows. And as a female Trump supporter, that's like being a Jew in a mosque.
But don't you think, do you really believe that all of these things are necessary?
Well, yeah, because look, she took on all these guys, the Todds, the Tappers, the Stephanopouloses, and the Lauers, and she kicked their butts for a long, long time. She emasculated these weenies, but now she looks a little tired. She needs a little time off.
Needs a cruise.
Needs to go kite surfing with Obama.
Yeah, kite surfing. Get her down there.
Give her a break.
Okay. You know, she's 50 years old. She's got four kids. Dealing with the press is the easiest part of her day.
Well, what I don't think the Trump administration's understanding is everything they say can and will be used against them. They should be Mirandized before they go on. And then this satire programs take it. Roll the tape.
Kellyanne, what the hell are you doing here?
I just want to be a part of the news, Jake.
And this is how you do it? By breaking into my apartment?
What was I supposed to do? You weren't answering my calls. You changed your number. I'm going to be ignored, Jake.
You don't get it, Kellyanne. You made up a massacre. We can't have you on.
I miss the news. I'm going to get mic'd.
See, that's not helpful, Gutfeld.
Oh, I disagree.
You disagree.
Kate McKinnon doing a vicious impersonation means that you won. If she was doing a reverential impersonation of Hillary Clinton, that means Kate won. So she has to do this knowing that her side lost. She's making fun of Kellyanne Conway knowing that she lost. It kills her to have to do this.
Do you see it that way?
No, I see them trying to take out a good, strong woman is what I see.
It is sexist.
It is sexist indeed. And she is a tough woman. She needs to be given credit, cut some slack because of the hours. While that smug Matt Lauer was getting his beauty sleep and his producers were writing his questions for him, she was up all night pulling an all-nighter to figure out what to say about this General Flynn situation. This woman needs credit.
But because the day before, she said there was no trouble.
You know, but she's defending the indefensible. That's her job.
I agree with you guys. She needs a rest.
They need to expand their stable. Get Jeffrey Lord, Kayleigh McEnany, get more people out there.
Yeah, more people. That'll be great. More people.
Yes. Yes. And animals too would be fun.
I think the messaging has to be a little more disciplined. All right, Gutfeld McGurk, everyone. There they are. Tip of the day: the factor in The Walking Dead. It's serious. The tip, moments away. Tip of the day: The Walking Dead versus The Factor. Yeah, get them. But first, the mail. It's alive tonight. Adam Hoffman, Grand Blanc, Michigan. Bill, I appreciate your outrage over the false reporting on the ICE raids. I just wish you had the same outrage over President Trump's dishonesty about the inauguration crowd and voter fraud. So let me get this straight, Adam. You're equating the issue of criminal aliens roaming around the country with a crowd and speculation about voter fraud? Come on, man. Perspective. Dave Malinsack, Hillsboro, Oregon. Great talking points, Bill. Where did you get the stat that 75% of those arrested had criminal convictions? As stated, Dave, that information came directly from Homeland Security. Mickey DeSocio, Staten Island, New York. Mr. O, in answer to your talking points, the radical element that wants to destroy this country is led by Barack Obama, yet you still deny this fact. Because it's not a fact, Mickey. It's your opinion. And that is a reactionary opinion. Just so you know. Not a fact. Lloyd Simonson, Ronkonkoma, New York. It enrages me that people like Meryl Streep throw around terms like Nazi and brown shirts. My relatives lived under Nazi occupation in Norway. Trust me, the Trump administration doesn't come close. Darwin Day, Lake Orion, Michigan. Bill, you don't really believe Meryl Streep would agree to come on The Factor, do you? We have an obligation to invite her if we're going to analyze her comments, Darwin. But I would be very surprised if Ms. Streep would show up to discuss her statements. In fact, I may even keel over if that happened. Chris Fawcett, East Hampton, New York. Bill, why do you appear so threatened by Jesse Waters? You know, I don't know, Chris. Chris Hindi, Dubai, having Waters trudge around in the snow with a stupid hat on in an effort to suggest there's no global warming is dishonest. There was no such effort, Chris. There was a stupid hat. Dan Sample, Las Vegas. Sending Waters out in the snow to interview people about global warming is yellow journalism at its finest, Dan. Lindy Stack, Phoenix, Arizona. I am a happy BillO'Reilly.com premium member who is not going to shop at Nordstrom's anymore. Linda Polk, Ojai, California. After finishing Killing the Rising Sun, I now completely understand why so many World War II vets, including my father, chose not to speak of the atrocities they witnessed. Thanks, Bill, for bringing that history to us. You're welcome, Linda. And finally, tonight, the Factor tip of the day. Last week, the only shows on cable that beat us were The Walking Dead and The Talking Dead on AMC. For a while, I thought The Walking Dead was the bio of former Senator Harry Reid. How wrong I was. The Walking Dead are zombies who chase people around in slow motion, kind of like the Los Angeles Rams this season. Apparently, lots of Americans enjoy the zombie movement. So we're thinking about incorporating some of that into The Factor. What about a segment about how Obamacare can subsidize zombies, most of whom don't have jobs because employers tend to frown upon cannibalism in the marketplace? They need help. Also, will the far left object if ICE rounds up zombies in the country illegally? Will the radicals insist on open borders for the undead? So here's the tip. Soon, you may be seeing some very unusual things here on The Factor as we become more inclusive and sensitive to those who are dead but not buried. As the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals recently ruled, you don't necessarily have to be alive to have constitutional rights. And those zombies shouldn't have to show a voter ID either. In fact, word is many of them voted in New Hampshire last November, bussed in from Amherst, Massachusetts. Or am I wrong? And that is it for us tonight. Please check out the Fox News Factor website, different from BillO'Reilly.com. Also, I'd like to spout out about the Factor anywhere in the world. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com, O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. Name and town if you wish to opine. Word of the day, do not be a buffoon or a zombie when writing to the Factor. Again, thanks for watching us tonight. I'm Bill.